Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, August the 9th, 2016. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week. Um, okay, got a little bit of echo here. 2016. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week. Not sure why we have an echo here. Sorry about that. Okay. We're doubling up our echoes here. Okay. We're doubling up our echoes here. Did I get rid of it? No, I did not get rid of it. Let's see, did that work? Yay, I think I fixed it. Hooray. So I fixed myself. Apparently my co-host is unable to speak, so not sure what's going on there. There you go.
Hi.
All right. Not sure what was going on there. I apologize. Yeah, a little bit of echo. It's been that kind of day for me. It's been an awful, awful, awful day. Just an awful.
Awful.
Yeah, awful.
Very bad day.
One of those days that people joke about it, you want to punch them in the face, put it that way. Let me put it to you that way.
Is your Alexander?
No. No. That's actually a rather tame day, to be honest, for me. But, what was I going to say before I got echoed out of the, almost out of the call here? Yeah, our first of two shows. Obviously, my co-host Mike is in the spotlight, so let's just welcome him in right now. As I watch the dog and the cat in my house go at it, which is always fun because I'm the only one here, so that's fun.
Yay! I mean, boo!
Yep, so that's interesting. All right, so first of two shows this week. As always, before we get going, let me remind you all the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show. Your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. You have hashtags you can use, or you can create your own hashtag you can use. Hashtag itspotlight401, hashtag ITS5. That one, of course, for our 5th anniversary on the air. Or you can create your own hashtag, like I said, maybe depending on what you're talking about. Maybe you want to use hashtag ITS Wrestling, hashtag ITS Basketball, you know the drill. Or you can come up with your own. Just don't be offensive or disrespectful. That's all we ask. We have enough of that going on in the world today. We don't need any more of it. Believe me. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 401 on Facebook. Make sure you like our page upon finding it. Again, first of two shows tonight. We are relatively on time. Thursday will probably be a little, and I emphasize a little because it's probably just going to be like 15 minutes. We'll probably start more around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Thursday because I am working my other job, weather permitting, of course, as always. But yeah, we will probably start a little bit later. We'll probably have a much shorter show. We're going to have a short show tonight, probably, but we have a little bit more to cover tonight. But so yeah, just be aware of that for Thursday. Thursday, of course, we're entertainment show. We'll do our box office beat entertainment discussion. Thursday will actually be very short, I think. I don't think we're going to try to do anything too special with it Thursday. Next week, we have two shows. It'll kind of be the same deal next week. Tuesday will be a normal kind of show. Thursday, a little bit shorter, but Thursday will be a wrestling show. But those tend to be shorter. And we move very quickly through wrestling shows, so it's not like it ever drags, at least. And that wrestling show next Thursday, of course, preview WWE's SummerSlam pay-per-view. We'll go over the card, matches, all that good stuff. That'll be next Thursday, which means that next Tuesday will be a sports entertainment combo. Box office will be all the usual sports stuff that we cover will be on Tuesday. Next Thursday will also be our last Thursday show of August. We will not have any further Thursday shows for the rest of this month. We will also not have a show... Oh, dog, stop. We'll also have. We also won't have a Thursday
Dog
show.
barking in the background.
Yes, we will, because he's mad at the cat. She's mad at the cat, I should say. My apologies. But we will not have a show on Thursday, September 1st either. So really, we're going to miss Thursday the 25th and Thursday the 1st, and then we'll be back on a regular schedule right the Tuesday after Labor Day, and that will probably take us right through the fall. So, that time of year, that's what happens around here. So just be aware of that going forward here. So that's a little insight into this week, next week, going forward, that whole deal, what we always do at the end of the summer here. It's hard to believe, but it is almost the end of the summer. So, okay, so with all that being said, here's what's on tap for tonight. We have quite a couple of different sports things to get to. We're going to get to some Olympic stuff tonight, some of the things that you've all been interested in talking about, the big headlines. There's a lot of things going on. We can't possibly cover it all, but the things that we, are worth discussing between what you all want to discuss, what we want to feel like discussing, we'll talk about for obvious reasons. And then there's a couple baseball things, and a lot of it is, it's funny. A couple of weeks ago, I'm going to admit it's been a struggle this year in baseball. Even though there's some good playoff races going on, some interesting storylines, that stuff doesn't really become interesting until you get to the latter part of August. Then you start talking, we got good playoff races, It's been, I've been wanting to talk about baseball, but other than the trade deadline and some of the more compelling things like Yankees buyers or sellers, that kind of stuff, it's been hard to find topics to discuss for baseball. Well, the last couple of weeks have given it to us, and this week we're starting to get some things. I didn't put in the show description. I should have, but we're going to talk about the Tim Tebow thing, which is interesting.
The Tim Tebow thing?
Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. You'll be interested in this. It's pretty interesting. In fact, we might lead with that. We'll get to that. We'll talk about A-Rod's retirement, which is a whole, only A-Rod could retire the way he's retiring, to be honest. And then, we'll talk about Prince Fielder, who is expected to retire tomorrow due to a second neck surgery on a herniated disc in his neck. He apparently is going to be – it's not that he's retiring by his own volition. He is being forced to retire. He will not be medically cleared to play. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Some interest, a lot of big baseball players retiring this year. It's interesting. So we'll talk about those things. That'll be the only baseball stuff. There's nothing on the field right now that I think that we can't wait to talk about. So we'll leave that there. And then we'll do some wrestling. There's some interesting wrestling things that got out today, and that'll be our show here today. We'll start with the Tim Tebow thing because this is a fun story. This is going to be a fun, every now and then we need a fun sports story like this. And Tim Tebow brings the fun. He does. He brings debate, but he brings the fun. Obviously Tim Tebow's always been a controversial figure. There's people that think he was a derisive NFL player. People thought he shouldn't have been a quarterback. He wasn't any good, overrated. But as me and Mike have always contended, what did he do, Mike? He always won. He always won. He had that playoff game. He had that great play at the end of that playoff game. Was it the Steelers, I believe? And the guy won. You put him in, he never made it look pretty, but he won. Who cares how you do it? You win, right? So, yeah. So that's all it really matters. That's all it's really supposed to matter, right? Winning and good sportsmanship, and he demonstrates both. But now Tim Tebow, as in news that was broke today, is apparently going to take his act to the MLB. He has been working out. He's got videos apparently online on YouTube. He is inviting all 30 Major League Baseball teams to a workout as he pushes forward for a career in Major League Baseball. Now, Tim Tebow played baseball I think he played baseball in college. I think he batted over 400. So Tim Tebow does have a history of playing baseball. This is not something that, and let me just start off by saying this. What really bothers me about this is everybody's already like, he's taking this as a joke. Oh, he's never going to make it, At least I think Stephen A. Smith even said, well, at least Michael Jordan was good at basketball before he went to baseball. But then I've heard people say today, if you watch the videos and you really are unbiased and really just objective about it, he actually showed good bat speed. He actually showed that he maybe could be at least an average Major League Baseball player. In fact, I heard one. I forget who it was. I heard one person say that they think he'd have a career even if it was just as long as Michael Jordan in baseball. So, here's my thing. He's got a job at ESPN. He's going to fulfill his obligations. If he was to do this, he's looking for workouts to get signed. I think with with September call-ups in September coming up and everything, he clearly just wants to get on a roster to show people what he can do. And if it works out, then he gets on a major league roster next year, signs a contract, and sees where it goes. He's auditioning essentially to try to get on a roster and see what he can do in like September, and then see what happens next year. He's entitled to do that. He's a really good athlete. I mean, people act like the guy's got no talent. The guy is an athlete. He's had talent. He's shown in college he can play the game, and I know that was a number of years ago. But if you objectively look at the videos, and if you objectively look at what he's doing, and people that are objectively looking at it are saying that he actually has a chance to actually make a team and do something. So if he wants to do it, hey, the NFL's not welcoming him, why not? And I'm sure there's a lot of teams that could benefit from signing him, and it'll put butts in the seats. So, go for it. So, Mike, what do you think? Tim Tebow, Major League Baseball player. What do you think?
Look, I stopped listening to Stephen A. Smith for analysis a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Nothing against the guy. It's just that sometimes the dude got biased.
Right. Fair enough.
And sometimes, and he doesn't see every side of the story. Need I bring up the Nick Young incident earlier, where he's like, D'Angelo Russell or whatever his name is, that don't work in every locker room. That dude's going to get jumped because stitches don't get stitches. But in the end, you're missing the point. The dude cheated on his girlfriend. Admittedly, it was a scuzzy thing to do. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's more than one side of the story, and Stephen A. doesn't always present every side of the story. And he's always had this thing against Tim Tebow. So,
like a lot of people have.
A lot of people have, especially John Elway in the Denver Broncos. And I think I'm listening to myself talk. It is wonderful. Hi.
Oh, come on. You probably enjoy that. Let's be honest.
It wasn't. I'm just saying I can hear it. Better than your dog.
Apparently she agreed with you. That's pretty sad right there.
Yep. But anyways, he does. He has a legitimate chance. I didn't see the videos. This is the first time hearing about it, but good Lord. Why not? Somebody's going to want him for spring training next year. And if he can get on a roster, sure. Dog.
Hey, there's a lot of guys that are on Major League Baseball teams this year batting 180 or 191. I just threw Stitch across the room. Please ignore that. There's a lot of guys on Major League rosters this year batting under 200. Why? Hey, Tim Tebow can probably at least do that. Why not?
Can hit 250. He should and even field a little bit. He should be welcome on any roster in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, look, 250.
If he can do that,
go ahead.
No,
250 is like the new 250 is like the new 300.
I was gonna say, if he can do that, then he should be anywhere he wants to be.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But we'll
give him a chance.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's interesting. I mean, it's going to be interesting because a lot of these teams are like, oh, we haven't gotten an invite to the workouts yet, and look, he's going to invite all 30 teams. He's made his intentions clear. He's going to fulfill his broadcasting obligations. Hey, I mean, a Florida team could really benefit from him, really. You know, we said that about when he in the NFL. We said Jacksonville should have signed him. They should have.
So, they still should think about signing him.
Yeah, they still.
It's not like they're going to win. And judging by the record, it'd be hilarious. And I don't know how likely it is. But Tim Tebow on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me stress by saying I don't know how serious this is. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars with Tim Tebow within 2 years.
Hey, stranger things have happened. And like you said, we talked about it. All the guy did was win.
Yeah,
and it'll be, you know.
He'd win league's worst quarterback years in the running, but the Jacksonville Jaguars would be a Super Bowl team.
The guy's not been nothing but honest. He said from day one, I'm not really here to win MVPs. I'm not really here for personal statistics. I'm here to win and have fun. That's what he said he's there for. You know?
He could, and he can bring his game to baseball.
Yep. We'll see how it goes. It should be an interesting ride. All right, we'll stay in baseball since we started in baseball. We'll stay in baseball, and we'll go to we'll do the Prince Fielder thing first because it's kind of like breaking news here. Let me really quickly here do this. So today, Prince Fielder. It was announced that Prince Fielder will announce his retirement. I'm looking at this page here. There it goes. There you go. All right, that's better. I had to change the lighting on this because it wasn't working out. I don't know if it's any better. It doesn't look any better. Crap. All right. It was announced that Prince Fielder will announce his retirement tomorrow, or likely will announce his retirement tomorrow. He's going to be missing the rest of the season. He was the comeback player of the year in the American League last year. He announced this. He came back last year, had a great year. Came into this season again, had a neck injury, neck surgery done, was out, and now they're saying a second surgery will be necessary. And that second surgery, there's no way that he will. There's no way that he will be able to play anymore. That he's not going to be medically cleared. It's pretty much done. So now, which is interesting because how often does that actually happen? That you're not medically cleared in baseball. I mean, it takes a lot to for that to happen. So usually it's kind of like wrestling, where it's kind of like you're forced to retire because of something. It usually has something to do with a herniated disc in your neck or your back or something like that, and that's exactly what it is. It doesn't happen that often, but that's what's going on here with Prince Fielder. This lighting thing's not going to fix. I'm just going to leave it alone. So Prince Fielder expected to announce his retirement tomorrow. Now, here's the thing, and I'm sure Mike will find this interesting. Assuming he does announce his retirement tomorrow, Prince Fielder, he will retire with the same amount of home runs as his father, 319. Exactly the same amount. Well, I guess that makes things, I mean, not to make light of the situation, this is horrible, and I feel bad. I've always liked Prince. Great personality, just like his father. Great teammate. Everybody wanted to be around Prince Fielder. It great for the game, great for the home run derby. I mean, nobody had a bad thing to say about Prince Fielder. So it's unfortunate that it has to end this way for him. It's a sad situation. But hey, at least when he's sitting around the dinner table with his father, no one has it's one of those situations where dad and son won't be able to fight over. They both kind of they ended at the same same home run total. It's kind of a I guess it's an interesting discussion point to have when you talk to your father about something like that. Hey, we end up at 319. But I'm sure that, look, Prince was, everybody looked at Prince and said, oh, he's going to surpass his father. He really should. Prince was on his way to being a 500 home run guy and a sure Hall of Famer. Now it's not looking very likely, and it's a shame. it's a shame that it had to end this way, and it's a shame that his body broke down the way it did, and I hope he has a good. I mean, I wish him the best of luck. I think everybody does. He's a very likable guy. I hope he stays around the game in some way, shape, or form. He's very personable. He could be an asset to a franchise. He could be great in broadcasting. He's a good guy to have around. So I hope he stays close to baseball and gets involved in some way. It's a shame that it has to end this way. Texas is going to be more likely a playoff team here. He would have been in the playoffs this year, and it would have been, hey, it's a sad situation. He had some great years. You look at what he did in Milwaukee and then Detroit, and Prince had some great years. Great years. A shame it has to end this way. So tomorrow it looks like he will announce it, and I don't know the details. He will get paid all of his money. This is an injury-related thing. He will get paid all of his money. That's not in question. That will happen. I think what people are confused by is Detroit was still paying a lot of his contract while he was in Texas. So, and then there's a question whether insurance is going to pay the whole contract, or if Texas or Detroit, somebody's going to be on the hook for it all. So, the details aren't really clear yet, but because it is a significant contract. So, but he's going to get paid all of it anyway. So, either way, he's getting his money. It's just a matter of how it's all going to break down. So, but we wish him well. Hopefully, it's a sad situation. Mike, do you have anything to add on the Prince Fielder news here?
I agree. It's a very sad situation, especially since the kid he's not a kid. He had a bright future. He really did. It's one of those cases where injuries get the best of you, and it's the worst thing when it happens. Wish him well. He's charismatic. He could be a coach. He could be, especially a hitting coach. Dude could hit home runs pretty. He could be a commentator. He could work at ESPN. He has a lot of potential. It's funny, and you're right. It is. I do find it. It's home run. So it's that way.
Yeah. And, it's been an interesting couple of weeks because obviously we got the Teixeira news a couple of weeks ago, which we talked a little bit about last week. And obviously Mark Teixeira was, around the time Prince was rising, Mark Teixeira was rising. And both guys, just tremendous power hitters. Obviously, Teixeira also had the defense, so that was an added bonus there. And now, Prince is retiring due to injury. Mark Teixeira had a significant amount of injuries that shortened his career, and now he's retiring at the end of the season. Of course, Teixeira will get to finish the season. Prince will not. And another person that's not going to get the chance to finish out the season and is going to be retiring this season. And in this case, it's not really injuries, although he's had his share, but rather a team in transition pretty much forcing this to an end, because that is what it is. And again, of course, this player was also in the middle of really his prime in a lot of ways, while Prince and Teixeira were really rising to the top of the game. Alex Rodriguez announced on Sunday his retirement from the game of baseball. But you have to be careful how you term this, because he's calling it retirement. But really, a lot of people are reluctant to say that. They're more or less just saying his last game as a player for the New York Yankees is Friday. This is a very weird, awkward situation. But then again, it's Alex Rodriguez. When is it ever a non-weird, awkward situation, since really all the proverbial crap hit the fan? From when he got caught, when he got caught and admitted to using steroids in 2009, and had the great 2009 year, which ended in a World Series for the Yankees, him finally getting the proverbial monkey off his back, to a couple years, the biogenesis scandal, and him being shamed again and being caught in a number of lies, and being suspended from baseball, and then coming back last year against all odds when everybody thought his career was pretty much over. He hits 33 home runs, drives in 86 RBIs, and everybody, if it wasn't for Prince Fielder, he would have been the AL Comeback Player of the Year. He was tremendous last year, along with Mark Teixeira as well. And that's the reason why the Yankees didn't do a lot. this year as far as signing players, because the belief was that they had enough with A-Rod and Teixeira coming off of last year. Of course, we all know Teixeira got hurt at the end of last year, which added, built into this year. And then A-Rod struggled in late August and September of last year, which built into this year. And it's been a struggle for Alex Rodriguez this year. He's only got 9 home runs. He's struggling to even hit. And one of the things you could count on last year was he'd hit lefties. He would hit, certain righties. This year he's not hitting anybody. A couple weeks ago he got into a game, he struck out 4 times against Drew Smyly. I mean, who strikes out 4 times? No disrespect to Drew Smyly. Who strikes out 4 times against Drew Smyly? So that's not, it got to the point with A-Rod that the Yankees felt like they were the better team without him in the game. And of course, Beltran, while they had him, they had to put him at DH because he was a liability in the field. And the recipe was we bench Alex Rodriguez. And, as soon as the Yankees did what they did at the trade deadline, and then Mark Teixeira is going to retire, and it became obvious the Yankees needed to do something about Alex Rodriguez. Joe Girardi didn't want to answer the question anymore. Brian Cashman didn't want to answer the question anymore. You give Hale Steinbrenner credit. He's always been good about defusing the situation. Him and A-Rod have always seemed like they've had a good rapport together. He got involved. They had a couple meetings. I guess the assistant GM pitched the idea to have Alex Rodriguez be an advisor. And he presented that to A-Rod. After a day, he told Hale he would do it. And, the idea was to make this a graceful ending so that, obviously they didn't want any ugliness. They didn't want A-Rod to feel disrespected. And in a lot of ways, he already feels that way. Although the Yankees' justification is, hey, we're trying to win games. And Alex Rodriguez, I think, is a smart enough guy. He knows baseball well enough to know that he has to understand that. And plus, A-Rod's not in a situation to do anything because the Yankees still gave him the Yankees could have easily gotten rid of him. They didn't. They gave him every chance to redeem himself, and he did. He did that. Regardless of what he did this year, he redeemed himself on the field last year with his performance. And, at least he can say he came back from the suspension, and he had a great year. And, they gave him that chance. So what's A-Rod going to do? What does A-Rod do? Say, well, you know what, this is wrong. I mean, he can't say anything about this. And deep down, Alex Rodriguez is a very passionate guy. Baseball is his life. He watches all the games. He's neurotic about it. He's knowledgeable about the game. He's all about it. That's his life 24/7 other than his children, okay? This is difficult for him. Even though on the surface, everybody in the world knows that he doesn't want to quit playing here. He still thinks he has something left. And most athletes do. It's hard for them to walk away. That's why a lot of them keep coming back. Hi, Brett Favre. That's why they have a hard time walking away for good. Because they always think that there's more there they can tap into. Sometimes they have to be forced. That's just the way it is. The belief, I think A-Rod deep down knows he's done. I think he's known that for a while. I think, all this time he's been benched this year. Eventually he had to come to that realization. The guy's a baseball guy. He has to know. He can't catch up with any fastball anymore. He's even struggling with the breaking stuff now. He's done. He is done. And I think he knows that, and I think there's a part of him that maybe figures, if I went someplace else, maybe. Now, look, if somebody gives him a call next week and says, hey, you want to come play for us for a little bit, see if you got anything left? Who knows? That part of him that refuses to believe he's done might itch at him and go, hey, give it a try. A lot of people close to him say that won't happen. That he feels, there's probably a part of him that feels like he's been embarrassed enough. Why keep it going? But there might be another part of him that says, you know what, maybe a change of scenery, maybe, or, different, maybe it would work. Maybe with some guys around me in the lineup, because let's face it, the Yankees don't have anybody in the lineup around them anymore. Make sure he gets the pitches to hit. Maybe he figures he could do better. It's a possibility. One of the things I thought would happen with Alex Rodriguez is if the Yankees ever did cut him, was I thought maybe he could go to a place like Miami, where he lives, and finish out his career. Problem is, A-Rod can't field. And I don't know, and Miami, this is back when I didn't think Miami would contend. Well, Miami is a wild card contender. I don't think they're going to put somebody like Alex Rodriguez on the field in that situation. So I don't see it. And look, the bottom line is I don't see anybody. Look, the NL is not going to take him because they know he can't field. So it has to be an AL team. And if the AL teams focus more on offense, then he's not going to get signed because he hasn't shown any kind of offensive life in the last month and a half. It's getting worse instead of better. So because of that, why would you take a chance on signing him, especially if you're a playoff team? And if you're somebody, if you're going to say, well, a small market team might take him, see if we can get 700 home runs with him, is that going to really draw the crowd at this point? It would have done it with the Yankees because of who they are. A lot of people think it's going to be an invalid 700 anyway. So, I mean, is that going to really draw?
Yes.
To an extent. But if you look at the statistics, would he even hit 4 home runs the rest of the season? That's the question. If you think he could, then maybe you will make a call. If you don't think he can, then you ain't getting a call. Now look, the one thing about Alex Rodriguez is this. If you watch him, especially since he's come back from the suspension, even before that, though, he was always great around young players. He was always a good mentor kind of guy. He grew into that very well. He's got so much baseball knowledge. Like I said, he's all about the game and the numbers and the statistics and the history. He imparts that wisdom. He's good. I mean, it's not just Latin American players. He's good with any kind of player. He's good about helping his teammates. He's good about especially the younger players. He will do very well in this role, providing they utilize him greatly. The more they utilize him, the more he can give. He's helped a lot of players. He helped Robinson Cano. He's helped Didi Gregorius. He's helped a lot of guys. He can be good in this role. So, I think it's a nice way to save face for both the Yankees and Alex Rodriguez. It was interesting to see that press conference. First of all, it was the most ominous press conference announcement I think I've ever seen. Saturday night, right in the middle. Saturday night at 8 o'clock, you just see this press release saying there's a press conference for Alex Rodriguez tomorrow at Yankee Stadium. I was like, wait a minute, wow, everybody kind of got an idea what it was about, but boy, it was just a weird way the way they went about it, and then putting a press release out saying he'll have his last game as a Yankee on Friday. Look, the Yankees know that there's a chance that this is not over for him. And if that's the case, they don't care. They still got to pay him no matter what they do. Whether he's a coach, whether he goes anywhere else and becomes a player, he still got to get paid. So they just don't want him taking up a roster spot. They got young guys they want to keep bringing up. So that's really what this is about. And they just don't want to deal with answering questions about him anymore. He's a distraction at this point. He's the last thing left they have to really, an urgency, address. So that's why they're doing it. But to see him that emotional on Sunday, and a lot of his teammates weren't happy with the way people know he was forced out. It's pretty obvious. But you can understand why he was. And you can also understand A-Rod's reaction. But he's handling it pretty well. And we'll see where it all ends up. Does he come back? What happens with his career? What happens with the Hall of Fame? It's anybody's guess. Look, how do you remember him? I don't know how you remember him. Well, the way when I think about Alex Rodriguez, I think about a guy, just like I think about a lot of these guys that use PEDs. Did not need it. You look at him when he first came up, he was probably, everybody thought he was going to be the best player of all time. And for a while there, he looked like he was going to be. A superior athlete, went from short to third, the amount of home runs he hit in such a short period of time. And then there's people out there that think, hey, you know what? Should we really judge him differently? How do we know what's happened in past history? If anybody was on anything, how can we say it was an uneven playing field when so many people have said over the years that it's very likely almost 70 to 80% of baseball players in that era were on a PED? How can that be called an uneven playing field if more than the majority of players are on it? So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at this. I think Brett Gardner said the best thing. You can remember him as a guy that made a lot of mistakes, fell hard a couple. I'm paraphrasing here. Fell hard a couple times and picked himself back up. I think that's a good way to remember it. Supremely talented. Supremely talented. Made mistakes. Picked himself back up. Always tried to. But think about this year in sports. The players you're seeing leave the games. Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Alex Rodriguez. No, I don't want to put A-Rod from. I don't know if I should put A-Rod in the standpoint of Kobe and Tim Duncan, because of obviously some of the controversial things there. But just saying from a big name perspective, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And he was great in broadcasting last year. He might do that. He did great for TBS last year, so that's something that he probably will do. And he said that his advisor job won't interfere with it. A lot of people, before anybody thinks he's going to be a manager, he doesn't want to manage, doesn't want to coach. Apparently, like Derek Jeter, who doesn't also want to manage or coach, he wants to own a team. A lot of people think A-Rod and Jeter should just buy the Miami and Tampa and put some money into them, since they seem to have problems with that. They'll probably both own teams. Look, A-Rod and Jeter are both great at business, too. So they'll probably end up doing it. It's going to be great theater on Friday. I guess the only other game that he's going to play, that he's going to start in, he might pinch hit tonight or tomorrow. I guess the only other game that he's going to start in, other than Friday, which Friday's going to have his family there, Boys and Girls Club, it's going to be the last game. The only other game he's going to start in is Thursday against Stephen Wright at Fenway Park. That's going to be his Fenway goodbye. And he had to give him a Fenway goodbye, and he's going to get it on Thursday night. That should be fun. So, it should be interesting theater Thursday and Friday as A-Rod says goodbye. We'll see if it's goodbye out from on the field. Goodbye from an on the field standpoint forever, or if he'll be back. And what a weekend at Yankee Stadium this weekend. You got A-Rod's farewell on Friday, celebrating the 1996 World Series team on Saturday. Mariano Rivera gets his monument on Sunday. It's going to be an interesting weekend this weekend. Might be more interesting than what's on the field. Maybe. We'll see. Mike, do you have anything to add on A-Rod?
A-Rod, one of the most unique figures in baseball history. I can still hear myself talking. It's hard to say because still hear myself too. He is at the right time. He had the potential to be the greatest player of all time, easily one of the greatest players of all time. However, he also was nervous. That's how I interpret it. That's the only reason why a guy of his caliber and his talent decided to use PEDs. And a lot of baseball players in that area use PEDs. And like many people who watch sports, I don't care. Yeah, I don't feel like the integrity of baseball is as sacred as they say, because lots of players was conceived were on something. The hypocrisy is there. the glory and the purity in their statistics has always been just a falsehood, in my opinion. It's always been a falsehood, in my opinion. With that being said, it was a fairly even playing field, with the exception of maybe Ken Griffey Jr., who was so goddamn good, it would have made him worse. That Ken Griffey, it's unfortunate that he retired due to injuries, because he would have been the greatest home run hitter of all time. A-Rod probably would have been the best player of all time, and forced him out. However, he's going to hit 700 before it's all said and done. He's put on his final uniform, so.
All right. So that's the baseball. Lots of retirement stuff and lots of retirement news and lots of which is obviously some of it's surprising, and of course some surprising Tim Tebow news. So been a hectic baseball news time, especially with the trade deadline a week or so ago. Speaking of hectic, the Olympics, which have been churning along here, and you know, we talked about this last week when we were previewing the Olympics. You know, sometimes you go into the Olympics with compelling storylines pretty much there. You know, like the last Summer Olympics, Michael Phelps going for that record with the gold medal record, and you know there was storyline the Fab Five, and there were storylines there. Okay. This time around, you had the stars. But, you know, is it going to be the same prestige? Is it going to be the same look? Michael Phelps has broke the record. Now he's going to keep piling on it. The women's gymnastics team did an incredible job. In the previous Olympics. Now it's almost a foregone conclusion that they win it all. Misty May Trainor's gone, but Kerry Walsh Jennings is still here. He's got a new partner. I guess that's an interesting storyline, but how far will they go? Are they as formidable as Misty and Kerry were? The U.S. basketball team doesn't have the kind of players that it's had the last few go-rounds. Still has Kevin Durant. Still has Carmelo Anthony. Kyrie Irving. I mean, they have players, but LeBron's not there, and so many others. I mean, you know, how do you look at this? So, you know, that you have stars, but a lot of these stars have done a lot, you know, either done it already or it's just not as compelling. And that's not a knock on them. You still want to see them do it. There's still great theater to be had here. It's just that it doesn't have the same pizzazz to it. You know, it's not. It's just essentially adding to a legacy, not the beginning of it, not the exciting part, which is creating it, surprising you, taking you on that journey. You know, you already feel like you've been on this journey, and now it's just kind of churning along, and it doesn't feel the same way. I watched the Olympics. I watched the opening ceremonies. Was confused as hell. I thought it wasn't very good at all. To be honest, I didn't like it at all. Just very confusing. And for Rio, I thought we'd do something better. I mean, it was flashy, which I expected it to be, but I just didn't get it. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. You know, the swimming's been good, obviously, with Phelps. The relay the other night. Now, there was something compelling there because they wanted to get the gold back. They didn't win it the last time around. They wanted to get it back. So there was something compelling about that. And Phelps being the guy that put him in the lead made it a little bit more dramatic. So that was fun. To me, so far, that was probably the highlight of these Olympics. To me. Because everything else has been pretty straightforward, almost expected. You've had Radecki do her thing. You've had U.S. basketball teams just pushing through. Kerry Walsh Jennings and her new partner Ross there is doing really well. All right, but they haven't faced anybody yet that would concern you. The swimming's dominating. We expect that. The women's gymnasts are dominating. We expected that. You feel bad for Gabby Douglas not qualifying for all around, but again, the U.S. Women's gymnastics team has so many talented people, you can't all make it. We found it out the last go around. Men's gymnastics teams facing an uphill battle, but I think people knew that. And that's really where you're at, because track and field doesn't start till next week. So, it hasn't been boring. It hasn't been boring. But it doesn't have London had. It doesn't have the things that are going to make you remember it 20 years down the road. You're going to remember London because Phelps broke the record there. You're going to remember London because the women's gymnastics team, even though people had an expectation, high expectations, the first time they did that, and it was perfection. You're going to remember that was Misty May's last Olympics. You're going to remember the U.S. basketball team and what it did that year. There's things you're going to remember from those Olympics. And this one, there's going to be some memories, but I don't think it's going to be these momentous memories that, are bolded in a history book. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem when you have a Summer Olympics like you did 4 years ago. The next one, unless there's something that comes out of the woodwork, it's going to pale in comparison, no matter how good it is. This could end up being a great Olympics. So far, it's not bad. But it's not going to be on the same level as the previous one because of so many of the things that transpired. The location is obviously flashier, although there's a lot of issues. That's not a knock on London. London's absolutely beautiful, but obviously Rio is Rio, and it's got the beaches, and it's got the tropical paradise environment deal going on, and everybody's it's a party thing, and it's got that celebratory feel to it. While London's got a little bit more of eloquence, sophistication, and it's got its own charm. It's got its charm. It's going to be interesting to see where things go over the course of next week. And then, I always say, and this is not a knock on the events that are taking place next week. I like watching track and field. I think it's fun. You got Usain Bolt. You got a number of talented athletes involved. But the second week of the Olympics is always rough because I feel like you lose people after that first week. Like, I feel like, so many of the events with the premier, like the athletes that they hype so heavily is the first week. And then the second week is always right around the time when people start going on their last vacations for the summer. Right around the time people are starting to pack up for college. So it's always a fight. You have to fight to get that audience to kind of stay interested going into that second week. It's really a battle. And I think a lot of people have told I've been saying for years they should kind of span out some of these events from the first week and maybe put some of them in the second week. They're never going to do it, but I think people have been saying that. But it is tough, and next week you're going to see it because people right now are like, I'm going to watch the gymnastics. I'm going to watch the swimming tonight. Oh, yeah. Next week you're not going to hear that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the athletes that are performing next week. God bless you. I appreciate what you do. That's not it at all. It's just it's observations on what I've noticed over the years with these things. Next week, you're not going to hear people talk about it as much. It doesn't mean they're not going to watch it. It's just not going to be as hyped as it is now. And then you do lose some audience there. So, we'll see. It should be an interesting week. We'll see, how gymnastics ends up. We'll see how swimming ends up with Phelps. How far does he go? We'll see how everything ends up. As we go along, obviously, we'll keep talking about it throughout the time that the Olympics are on here. And, we'll see where everything ends up. Right now, U.S. leading the medal count in gold. I think they're tied in gold medals, but they're leading the overall medal count. So, Mike, anything to add?
The Olympics?
Yep. Okay.
I don't care about the Olympics.
Very, very, very short and to the point, as usual. I love that.
I enjoy women's beach volleyball. Literally, maybe the extent. Yeah, Oh, well, basketball, but let's face it, women's beach volleyball. Yeah.
Oh. All right. Okay. You're entitled. All right. So
aren't we all entitled to be a pervert? Aren't we all?
You're horrible.
So are you. So are you. At least I'm honest about it.
We go from. That's not the way I look at it. I'm not like that, but okay. We go from the world of sports and the Olympics to WWE and the fallout from last night's Raw. And before I get to some of the bigger news, including a story that I think is going to very much interest my co-host, very much, I believe. We'll talk about last night's Raw, which was there. Featured some great moments, including the endlessly entertaining pairing of Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. And their feud with Enzo and Cass, which has been great. Some great stuff with the setup for the U.S. title match, which is clearly going to be a fatal four-way. That ending was really surprising. The way that they set up that Cesaro Rusev match was pretty surprising. It was a good ending, I thought. I like that they gave the U.S. title match the spotlight there. That was good. Nice to see it even done even without Cena involved. The Rusev Lana Roman Reigns angle I thought was entertaining. You know, a lot of people feel like it could have been a little shorter, probably, but it worked out. The Diva stuff I thought was effective. It built further up for the pay-per-view match. I thought the stuff for the Finn Balor vignette was really good. I thought the Seth Rollins' promo, especially Rambo Apocalypse, was quite entertaining. So I thought they had some good moments, and that's the thing that they've been doing these last couple of weeks is they've been at the very least there's been something to entertain you, and you feel like there's at least direction. That's a good thing as far as what they're doing. Some weeks have been better than others, you know. And I hopefully next week they have a really good show as that's the go home show for their second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Brock Lesnar will be there. They're going to have Seth Rollins call out the Demon Finn Balor, Demon King Finn Balor, which would be interesting because that's obviously I like the way that they're kind of slowly unraveling Finn Balor to the audience, and you know, hopefully they have a hot show next week going into SummerSlam, and of course they got SmackDown too. And they're doing that tonight, but I thought it wasn't I didn't think it was bad last night. I mean, it wasn't one of their best, but you know what? Look, the last few weeks since the brand split have been much better than a lot of the crap they've been giving us for 2 years. I think we can all agree on that. So. Mike, your thoughts on last night?
SmackDown or Raw?
Yeah, sure.
Raw, SmackDown, Raw. I'm reading the. Never mind. I'm reading stuff about Donald Trump, and I shouldn't do that.
It just gets worse.
People are still going to vote for him. I'm scared saying that, but
yeah, I know.
Raw happened. Raw happened last night. It existed between the hours of 8 and 11:30. Rated. Jericho tag team and Enzo and Cass. They had a great segment. Slam, which. But if they Jericho not. Oh, excuse me. Sasha and Dana Brooke happened again. Glad that was a thing. Cesaro wrestling 2 matches. Maybe a fatal 4-way, maybe 2 singles matches. Who knows? That was a great little moment. The Foley Daniel Bryan segment really never got started.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a waste, and it's too bad because those 2 guys can go. I was interested to see what was going to happen in that segment, and then we got interrupted. We got a good U.S. title match, but still, I would have liked to see what is going to go down between Foley and Bryan. That whole Rusev thing, yeah, it was kind of. It was kind of. boring for a while, but it was entertaining overall. Roman looked really good in that segment. Did a good job. Seth Rollins cut a hell of a promo. There was a nice pre-tape on Finn Balor. We got another Brock Lesnar quote.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Good.
That whole package was good. I'll give him that.
Braun Strowman murdered some jobber. We got it. Now it's time to ride back the guys. Time to go to two jobber. It was pretty good. There was a Scooby-Doo segment that was dumb. Although I will say, I was entertained in a room sort of way by the first Scooby-Doo WWE movie. To see this one for terrible reasons. Raw happened. There it is.
Well, at the very least, it was productive in moving story along and setting up further matches. Today, there was some leaked photos of the new WWE and Universal title designs. Not much different than what you're seeing, just different colors. Whether that's true or not, but it's believed that these pictures are true, but it's all over online. That wasn't the big news today. There were two stories that a lot of people had sent, some of our wrestling fans had sent to me today that they thought were particularly interesting. I'll get to the first one that I think will interest my co-host first, and that is that there are rumors of a possible trade between Raw and SmackDown.
Does it involve Cesaro?
Yes.
For who?
The rumor is that Kevin Owens and Cesaro will be traded to SmackDown for Randy Orton. That's the rumor. Apparently, WWE has second-guessed some of their draft picks, and they're looking to shuffle a couple people around that they think will be better positioned on another brand. So that's the rumor. Kevin Owens and Cesaro for Randy Orton.
Whatever move gets Kevin Owens a world championship sooner. Get him an awesome world championship run sooner.
I'll tell you. Let me tell you this. Here's what I think. Okay. I have this distinct feeling. All right. I don't know that this rumor could be true. All right. And I think the Owens Cesaro part is probably true. But
probably,
here's my part that I don't think Randy Orton's true. First of all, I think Orton likes SmackDown better. Second of all, I think what they're going to do. Here's what I think is going to happen, especially since Vince has. What have we been hearing over the last few weeks in conjunction with the fact they're going to be deep pushing Roman Reigns, which they have. That his two guys right now are AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. Right, and then Finn Balor, of course, now is getting the push. Right. So what do we think is going to happen here? I got a feeling it's not going to be Randy Orton. I think it's going to be AJ Styles.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think they'll move AJ Styles, and then they'll put Owens into the feud with Dean Ambrose. We all thought it was going to be Styles that took the title off Ambrose. I think it's going to be Owens. If they do that, it's going to be Kevin Owens.
And it kind of reunites AJ at the club because you've already made it obvious you're not going to do Balor and the club.
Right.
All right, I could see that. I actually kind of like that idea a little bit better. Because once you blow off the AJ thing, where do you go? AJ has to go somewhere, and then Cena's got to go somewhere.
It gives you a lot of potential. AJ can feud with Finn Balor.
Yes.
Yes. There's a lot of potential there. You can do a lot with that. And if you want to turn him face, you can feud with Seth Rollins, or vice versa. Rollins goes face, Styles is still heel. I mean, there's things you can do there. So, and if they want to ever revisit, apparently, Vince McMahon's favorite feud of the year, which is AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, they can do that too.
Did it.
But your point, yeah.
I think that's a big possibility because I don't think Randy Orton goes to SmackDown and it stays or Raw.
Yeah.
And it stays. The only reason why, you know what? No, Randy stays. I was going to say, unless they're really doing it to build the Brock versus Randy match, but it's only good for 1 week. So, it's Randy's probably going to stay on SmackDown.
Yeah.
See AJ. AJ makes sense.
Because quite frankly, I was surprised that AJ. I mean, I knew that they were going to draft AJ to SmackDown initially because of Cena, because he had the feud with Cena. They weren't going to just end it, you know. But then I was kind of wondering. I'm like, you know what? I want to see if they try to sneak him back over to Raw, because Vince, all the guys that Vince likes to push usually end up on Raw. And not to say that he doesn't want to push Kevin Owens. I think he wants to push Kevin, but it seems like he's all more about Rollins, Balor, and Styles right now. So that's just my feeling, anyway. The other news today that was interesting was there have been reasons indicated for why Triple H wasn't drafted, which I didn't think had to be explained because I thought it was obvious why he wasn't drafted. But so apparently, but the backstage reasons are this, according to reports. Again, this like the trade rumor. This is from various dirt sheets that are out there today. It is being said that the reason Triple H was not featured on the draft or drafted was because there's uncertainty surrounding his in-ring future, even though he recently re-upped his wrestling contract. While Triple H is planning on performing at next year's WrestleMania 33, he hasn't decided on an opponent yet or even narrowed it down. The belief is that Triple H will face an up-and-coming talent next year in Orlando, with rumored choices being Seth Rollins or Bray Wyatt.
The 3 guys were not eligible to be drafted.
Yes.
Those guys was Triple H. The other 2 guys were The Undertaker and Heath Slater, of all people.
Right.
He was injured at the time.
Right.
So they made that exceedingly clear.
Yeah.
It's good to hear a backstage reason. Made it very clear that Triple H was not on the draft board for a reason. Because let's be honest here, if he were available to be drafted, he would have been drafted in the top, 5.
Yeah. Right.
Probably by Stephanie McMahon, too.
And it's really no surprise. It's really no surprise he's facing up-and-coming talent.
No, he wants to do that.
Yeah. It'll probably be Rollins, but just a guess, because that match has been rumored for 2 years. So, although Triple H Bray Wyatt would be fun, that has been teased. They did have that little face-off, so I guess you could go there. All right, so that's the 2 bigger pieces of news that have been out there today. Oh, and there's another piece of news I just noticed. I guess that Sheamus did an interview which indicates that he's unhappy with his current role in the company. Although some people think he's just doing it in character because he kept mentioning where he was drafted, kind of like Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a feeling that it's just adding to the storyline, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is unhappy where he is, but he has every right to be. So that's really all the news. But there is this ongoing topic that a number of our fans have been, mentioning. At least our wrestling fans have been mentioning, and that's the Conor McGregor stuff that's been going around. That's obviously got a lot of wrestlers upset. Which, obviously by now, I think many of you, especially if you're a wrestling fan, you know what was said. I'm going to try to pull it up here. My computer's running incredibly slow right now, so please bear with me. Okay, here it is, right here. All right. McGregor was, okay, both Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, and you can find this online, a number of areas. They did a conference call ahead of their rematch at UFC 202. McGregor was asked if we'd ever see him cross over to WWE, given what's happened with Brock Lesnar. And McGregor indicated that while he has respect for the McMahon family, Triple H, and The Rock, he didn't seem to have much respect for other wrestlers. Here's a quote from him. For the most part, those WWE guys are pussies. To be honest, they're messed up pussies if you ask me. Fair play to Brock. He got in and fought, but at the end of the day, he's juiced up to the effing eyeballs. So how can I respect that? And when referring to CM Punk, McGregor went on to say, what's the other guy? he hasn't fought yet, so I don't know about him yet. There are some Dons in the wrestling game. McMahon's, they're Dons. Triple H's the Don. The Rock is a Don. But the rest of them are pussies. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. That's a little more show business. This is the fight business. A lot of wrestlers took offense to that. It's been a very big source of discussion over the course of the last few days. In all honesty, I mean, look. I think Mike will agree with me on this. That a lot of UFC fighters feel this way about WWE because of the scripted nature of it. They don't feel like it's authentic fighting. Plus, it is. I mean, it does edge more towards entertainment. They focus a lot more on. They obviously got the storyline aspect. So because of that, they feel like it's not this authentic, athletic kind of thing. They feel like it's more about just entertaining while actually, displaying some athleticism rather than just focusing on athleticism and fighting and actual. And in their mind, being legitimate. So that's what they've. It's not just Conor McGregor that feels. I'm sure a number of the UFC fighters, and I'm sure, and any other fighting promotion. I mean, sure, boxers and everybody feel that way. I mean, a number of them, not everyone, but a number of them. Is that wrong, Mike?
Huh?
Okay. What I was saying was that this whole Conor McGregor thing. I'm sure he's not the only UFC fighter that looks at WWE this way, or maybe not the only fighter in general. I'm sure there's boxers out there. So there's a number of athletes out there that feel the same way.
Oh, I'm sure. And then some of them actually do business at WWE, and then realize tough it is to be in a wrestling ring. B, realize they can make an ass ton of money working with Vince. And C, the bridge.
Right.
Conor McGregor, I'm pretty sure they were interested in working with Conor McGregor on something. I'm pretty sure they were interested in working with Conor McGregor.
Right.
This makes it hard to work with Conor McGregor. You've the entire locker room by calling them pussies. Now, I would like to see. Okay, I saw a video a couple months back where Colin McGregor was just sparring with the guy who plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones, is a legitimate strong man, won the World's Strongest Man competition a few times. He's always a contender. When they say the dude is the Mountain, the guy who plays the Mountain is legit. 400 pounds of muscle badass. Online of Colin McGregor trying to fight this guy. Colin McGregor got some shots in. Now, Colin McGregor couldn't reach the guy's face, from what I remember. I recall McGregor didn't last long. Long at all. McGregor runs his mouth a bunch. Now, never last in a fight with Colin McGregor. Definitely never last in a fight with Conor McGregor.
Very true.
Roman Reigns, Sheamus, The Big Show, Braun Strowman, and half of the guys that he's insulted would do very well in a fight with Conor McGregor. In fact, half of those guys I'd mentioned would beat the shit out of Conor McGregor. Actually, Brock Lesnar, regardless of the PED usage. Conor McGregor is going to run his mouth. When it all comes down to it, sure. I would love to see Conor McGregor in an actual fight with some of these guys. Someone like Roman or The Big Show or even Braun Strowman. Because what happened to him probably going to happen to him against Nick Diaz repeat itself. Conor's great for his weight class. 1 or 2 weight classes above him.
Right.
And knocked his bitch ass out. So it is what it is. But he ran his mouth on something that he shouldn't have run his mouth on.
Oh no, he's getting blasted for it now. It's pretty bad.
My favorite personal blast was Ric Flair. Where he told him, "You're welcome for your gimmick."
You know what I think is funny though? He blasted. I like how he felt the need to pull out certain guys so that if he ever wanted to explore WWE, he didn't insult them. Like, oh well, I respect the McMahons and Triple H and The Rock, right? But everybody else, you're pussies.
Mm-hmm.
I love how he felt the need to like separate certain guys, so that he had some people in his corner to not apologize to if he ever wanted to explore WWE. Like I think that was pretty funny how he just picked that out. But yeah, he picked the wrong fight there, that's for sure. And that's something that's been obviously a big source of discussion over the last week. All right, that's it. We got through everything, all the big wrestling stuff you all wanted to cover, we covered. That's everything we had to cover, we covered. So we are done for tonight. As always, the show might be over, but does not mean you have to stop interacting or contributing to our show. You continue to have your voice heard, send us feedback, questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, general feedback, reactions or comments to things we said on the show, things we talked about, any breaking news items or topics you want to see us cover. You can feel free to send them to us as well. You can do all this by email at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Again, there are some hashtags that we offer to you to use, or you can create your own. You can use hashtags itspotlight411, hashtag ITS5, that one for our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. Or you can create your own hashtag, as long as you're not disrespectful or insulting. Again, depending on what you're talking about, if you talk about wrestling, you might use hashtag ITS Wrestling. Movies, hashtag ITS Movies, whatever the case may be. Just don't be disrespectful or insulting. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and make sure you like our page upon finding it. Again, for those that are participating in the TV awards, if you would like, again, if you are submitting anything, I should say, not if you like, if you're submitting anything for the TV awards, a nomination ballot or anything, questions or anything, I used to allow questions by Facebook and Twitter, but it just got too confusing. So anything related to TV awards, questions, comments, or any kind of submissions, do it by email only. Again, remember that, email only. itspotlight411@gmail.com. Again, itspotlight411@gmail.com. That's the only way we accept any of that, okay? Keep that in mind. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling, any last-minute postponements or delays that we can't obviously address on air. The only way we can get it to you is by social media, so make sure you follow us on both Facebook and Twitter to make sure you're up to date on all the information about the show. If you'd like to keep up with our show, you got a number of ways to do that. If you're interested in if you're more of a fan of streaming and seeing us on screen, and maybe you're only interested in our more recent episode, which is everything from mid-October all the way up into tonight's episode, which is our most recent episode here. If you're interested in any of that, then you want to find us here on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. You'll have access to every episode we've ever produced here on Google Plus and YouTube. Everything from mid-October, which is our 5th anniversary, all the way up into tonight's episode is on there on both sites, Google Plus and YouTube, listed there for you. Anytime you wish, you can click on the episode you want and play it. Whether you missed a part of an episode, missed an episode entirely, want to look back at episodes, whatever the case may be, check us out on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. If you're somebody that's more of a fan of audio podcasting, maybe you want to listen to us instead of seeing us. Maybe you prefer to listen to us on the go, because if you listen to us, you can take us on the go with you and listen to us anytime you wish. Maybe you're a fan that doesn't just want to check out our recent episodes, but more or less our older episodes as well. Whatever the case, you might want to check us out on Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on either Podbean or iTunes, or even both. And you'll have access to every episode. This is important. Every episode we've ever done. That's not just our Google Plus and YouTube stuff, but everything we've done for the last over 5 years now, almost 6 years now. Everything from Blog Talk Radio back from in October 2010 to January 2011. Everything from our talk show days all the way from January 2011 all the way to this past October of 2015. And, of course, our Google Plus and YouTube episodes from October of last year all the way till now, all transferred from visual to audio so you can listen to them instead of seeing them. Every episode we've ever done is on there, from the most recent, which is tonight, all the way up to the oldest, way back in October 2010. All those episodes are on there on Podbean and iTunes for you to check out anytime you wish. So make sure that you do that if you're interested. Maybe you missed an episode, missed part of an episode. Maybe you're a long-time fan and wants to look back at old episodes. Maybe you're a new fan and wants to look back at old episodes that you've never seen before and see what it's all about, or even catch up on episodes recent or way in the past. Whatever the case may be, you can do all that on Podbean and iTunes to search in the Spotlight format. So you got Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes. Google Plus, YouTube, iTunes, and Podbean, all there for you anytime you wish to keep up with episodes. Watch episodes again. Have fun with that. Make sure you utilize those resources if you wish. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight, as always. Thank you, Mike.
It's time for bed. Let's go.
Thank myself for another great show. Pat myself on the back. And thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. To those that will be listening as well, thank you to you as well. I also thank my dog, too, for the cameo appearances from her bark tonight. Just throwing that out there for fun. All right, so that's it for tonight. Again, Thursday we will have a late start because I will be working my second job, so it won't be too much away. So probably like 15 minutes. Well, we usually start around 8:10, 8:15, so probably looking at around 8:30. Maybe even it might even be early. It might be even normal time. It depends. I'm just giving you all a heads up. So around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time is probably what you're looking at for a start time Thursday. It will be a shorter show than tonight. We'll just do the box office being a couple of entertainment news items. And that's pretty much all we're going to be doing on Thursday. So real brief kind of show Thursday night. Next week, 2 shows again. Tuesday will be a sports entertainment combo, box office beat, entertainment news, any other sports highlights you have to cover, Olympics, all that stuff on Tuesday. And we'll update you on the Olympics throughout, too, not just on Tuesday's show, but on Thursday. We won't talk about anything important happens. We'll obviously throw it like we do with like playoffs and stuff. So that next Tuesday, that's what we'll do. You know, sports entertainment combo, sports headlines, entertainment box office beat, entertainment news, all that good stuff on Tuesday. Next Thursday, an all-wrestling show previewing WWE's SummerSlam pay-per-view. It's be coming up a week from this Sunday on the WWE Network and pay-per-view. We'll preview the card, go over all the match, make predictions, and, of course, address questions and comments from our wrestling fans as well as any fans that just want to submit a question related to wrestling. So that's next week. And, again, next Thursday will be our last, not this Thursday, next Thursday will be our last Thursday show until September the 8th. So keep that in mind. So that's kind of what's coming up here, just to remind you all once more. That's it again for tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and, of course, a great Thursday. We'll see you back here Thursday night, which is, of course, August the 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, remember the start time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our next show. Until then, I hope you all have a great night. Talk to you on Thursday, everyone.